you can tell, I've been outside already. It's not that early in the morning. It's like mid-morning already. And it's cold. It was all slushy yesterday, and even though it was snowing, it wasn't that, I mean, the temperatures weren't super, super low. And now they're low for us. They're in the 20s, which is pretty low. We can get into the teens if it's a real cold winter, but rarely. So, yeah. I was hoping, and of course it never works this way, but I was hoping that both of the goats would give birth during this warm spell that we had. But of course not. So I'm gonna go down there and check on them for the first time this morning. I'm taking a new bucket. I get very excited about new buckets. We were using metal buckets for a long time, and then just over time they got rusty, and one of them sprung a leak. My granddaddy noticed. A few months back I just grabbed one extra one at the store, and it's just the best thing ever. My dad and I both agree that it's the best bucket of any bucket that's ever been made. Here's what makes it a good bucket. Okay, here are the criteria for a good bucket, just so you'll know. So it's got a flat edge right here, so you can put it up against the wall of the stall, which is very nice. And then good strong handle. This thing is not coming loose anytime soon. It's got measurements on the inside. You probably can't see that. And then it's just really solid and durable, and it's also a 20-quart bucket, so it doesn't run out quickly at all. Goats drink a lot of water in the wintertime. When it's really, really cold, they will actually oftentimes drink more water than they would in the summer, unless you're comparing it to like the hottest days of summer. But yeah, I'm not sure why that is, but cold weather makes them thirsty. All right, let's see what's going on here. Hard to do all this with one hand. Hey, they do their best to get their smell on me one way or another as I'm coming through here. I try so hard not to let them, but they try equally as hard to bomb me with their stink. She's just standing there looking at me. Doesn't look like delivery has happened. Yeah, no deliveries. Let's see what kind of labor we're looking at, or lack thereof. Nothing. Here, I'll show you. We're looking at the exact same thing we had yesterday. So her vulva's open. I mean, when actual labor starts to progress, it's a lot more noticeable than that. Hey, honey. Hey. She's like, aren't you going to look at my behind too? Are you jealous? Let's see you. I think she's going to go second, but she could surprise me. Yep. Nothing going on there. Not yet. Let's see. Udder's about the same, maybe a little more. She's so good. She's so nice for me. She just stands still. See, this is what I'm talking about. Look at her. Bless your heart, Polly. I bet you she's got two in there. Two little ones. Well, if she's doing this, probably not really in labor yet. I think what I'm going to do is let them both out for a little while. Because, see, I waffle back and forth about what to do with these pregnant mamas when I think they're really close. It's harder for me this time because I do not know the date that they were bred, because it happened by accident, and so I wasn't marking these are the days I have the buck on the farm, marked on the calendar or anything like that, like I did last time. This time it was by an accident, and if I had been smart, I would have marked on the calendar the bucks accidentally got in with the does on this date. So just in case something happened, here's your reference point. I didn't do that. So it's not like I'm wondering, oh, do they have another month? Like it's time. But I still don't know, you know, down to the day what we're looking at. Regardless of whether I know the due date or not, I've always had trouble with, I look for signs of labor, and if I see anything that just to me looks suspicious, I tend to go ahead and want to put them up and get them in the stall, because I really don't want them to progress so far in labor that they can't be moved by the time they're actually ready to give birth. And they're out in the field somewhere. Or, you know, worst case scenario, the whole thing happens without me knowing it, somewhere out in the middle of the woods or out in the field. And of course, I'd find them eventually. I'd walk around and find them, but those aren't, look at them, fighting with each other. Supposed to support each other. Jeez. But yeah, those just aren't ideal or safe conditions for the baby. We, knock on wood, have not had a lot of predator issues here, as far as things that would threaten goats, but part of that is because we have part of it is because we have a nice secure barn that's really, you know, it's hard for you know, coyotes and things like that to get to the goats in there in the barn, and I can shut them completely up when they have the little tiny babies, so that nothing can get to them that's of any, you know, dangerous size. On the other hand, when you put them in the stall like this, it's very hard to judge their behavior because they're not able to make all their own choices. So they're not showing you whether they feel like going out to the field or not. They're just standing around impatient in the stall, and it's hard to tell. Look at her. She does this to me whenever I leave her in here for too long. It's just hard to tell what's them being restless because they've been shut up, and what's them being in sort of a weird mood right before delivering, because they do kind of go into a different sort of, it's almost a little bit of a trance, you know, where they're just focused on what they're doing. It's just hard because I don't want them to be out when something important happens, but them being out, as long as I'm home and able to monitor it, is also really helpful because it shows me how they're behaving when they can make all their own choices. So all that being said, I think I'm going to let them out for a little bit and let them show me, hey, you proved me wrong again. It's okay. This is the bucket I'm replacing. This yellow bucket has seen better days, so I'm going to keep it in the barn for some time. It's good to have backups, but it's not really a great one for, I mean, it's a big herd, and they, as you can see, have pretty much emptied it overnight, so that tells me they needed a new one. This is one of the chores that I have done most consistently year in and year out since my farm started. Just pump in the water. This is frozen over a little bit, but not solid. Sometimes I just give it a kick to loosen up the ice on top and make sure that there's water they can get to. Well, that's all that's needed from me right now. Let's see how the day progresses, and I'll watch for Polly. Hey, stay off of me. I don't want to smell like you for the rest of the day. Jeez. This is your own doing. You weren't the way that you are. No. No, don't give me that. Hey. No. Hey, don't give me that. Okay. Moving on. Don't try it. I'm telling you right now. Quit it. No. All right, I'll be good. All right, now we're seeing the mucus plug just within the vulva right there. So she's close. Now she's not hard into labor yet because she still has plenty of time to eat. But it's obviously progressing. It is around 5 o'clock right now, maybe a little before. So I guess we'll have a nighttime birth again. That's what it's looking like. I need to go get some food myself before she starts moving along. Actually, we might both be in labor because she is not taking part in the feeding, which means she might be further along than Polly. That's looking suspicious, so gotta sneak her past all of them into the stall with Polly. And I have a session tomorrow that I'm supposed to leave for like at 7 o'clock in the morning, so. Of course. All right, they're both in here together. This is how they start acting when they're in labor. They get real quiet, well, depending on the goat, but they usually get just kind of detached and stare off into space. It's not really showing yet, but gotta be honest with y'all, I'm tired. I just been thinking, gosh, I'm worn out, and then they went into labor, which is exactly what happened last time. So, it would be fine, but I have a very early morning tomorrow. I didn't plan on this, honey. Those stupid bucks broke the gate, and then you thought they were pretty handsome, I reckon. Okay, I'm gonna go to the car because I want to stay warm for when I'm actually needed out here. So while I'm waiting, like I said, I have session work tomorrow, so and I got the songs, the files early yesterday morning, so I've listened to them once, but I want to give them another run through now to familiarize myself with them, and then look at the charts and do all that. So I'm going to run through those while I'm sitting here because I've got them on my phone. So got it. Time waits for no man or woman or goat. So gotta make the most of it. So here's an update. Nothing has happened. Okay? Nothing. Everything I showed you last night with the vulva with some goop in it, and Daisy didn't eat, and all that jazz. And I figured, I was like, I just think it would have to be that Polly will at least be like close to having babies when I go check in the morning. And it'll be like, well, either one of two things. I was like, okay, I'll either get to see the babies and make sure everything's okay before I leave, or I'll know she's close, and I'll call Zeb and say, can you just keep an eye on this situation and let me know how it goes, because I have to head to Asheville, because the business never stops, okay? I'm a very busy woman. I dragged myself out of bed in the freezing cold this morning, in the dark, drove down to the barn without me, put on my coveralls and my jacket, drove down to the barn, walked into the barn, holding my breath, looked into the stall, and they were so chill. Both of them. They were calmer than I've been in months. Just hanging out, munching on some hay. Polly had herself some more food while I was standing there, because their feed's still in the trough because Daisy hasn't eaten and Polly hasn't eaten, I think, what she would usually eat. So here's an update from my vehicle, which is swiftly becoming a thing. It's the next day. So I had an awesome day of doing session work in the Asheville area at Van Atkins. 5.5 miles. At Van Atkins studio. It's called The Shop. And it's an awesome studio. It's one of the best I've been in. So I was glad to finally get up there. I've worked with Van in the past and many times. And he's one of the best. And it was really cool to get to go back and work with him again at his own place. And it's just... it was a good day, and we got to do some great session work. So I did that, and then the whole day I had my big brother Zeb, who lives across the road from me. He was on baby goat watch. He has told me before he loves he loves helping out with the goats whenever I need it, and he does really well with them. So I asked him if he would mind just running down there and checking on them every now and then. And I was like, you know, they don't need anybody to be there when they deliver, really. All I want to know is what's going on, and then if for some reason you happen to notice something is wrong, you can tell me what's going on, and either I can call the vet or he can call the vet, depending on, you know, how much of an emergency it is. So he was doing that for me, and nothing happened the whole day. He was like, I'd go up there and it was just so normal, like they were just standing there eating, and they just come over and said hello to me and nothing. So came home last night. I pulled into the barn before I even got home and fed all the goats, checked on Daisy and Polly, nothing. Now, that being said, Polly's vulva is still, like, it just continues to get more and more open and swollen. And when I say swollen, I do not mean like it looks infected or like there's something wrong with it. I just mean it has the sort of looseness that you would expect of it when her body's preparing her to give birth. On the one hand, I want to say I'm just like imagining things. Maybe they have like several weeks to go, but it's not possible when her vulva's like that. So at this point, all I can say is that like it's close, but I knew the other day, and you saw in my previous video, I knew when I spoke the words, if she does not give birth in the next couple of days, I'll eat my hat, that I needed to go ahead and prepare myself to eat a hat, because you don't say that, because then it definitely won't happen. Like, that's just, it's goat logic. Alright, it's around noon. Let's check on these girls. It's the first time I've seen them today. My dad reported back earlier and said they were fine. All good here. They're doing the exact same thing as the guys on the other side, which is just hanging out. Hey. How are y'all doing? Okay, what the heck is that? Do you know what it is? What is it? I'm gonna touch it. Ooh, it's squishy. Let's see. I'm gonna have to change the camera settings so I can see this. It must be what I've heard is called like a, I don't know if it's a fairy egg. Ooh, my hands, as you can see, have suffered from the cold and dishwashing. What in the world? I'm gonna have to look this up. I've heard of this before, where it's basically like a tiny egg that like the shell never developed or whatever, and it doesn't mean anything's wrong with the chicken. Usually it's just like just happens every now and then. And I'll gather those eggs later, but that's the first time that's happened. That's very weird. It's kind of hilarious because I am a lifelong country girl, so I'm not easily grossed out, but I also have anxiety and a lifelong phobia of germs. So I'm the kind of person who picks up the bird's nest and takes a picture of it and then goes and washes my hands because birds are yucky. So I haven't always had those sensibilities though. I've had them for a long time, but not forever, because when I was very young, like I was probably 3, I picked up a dead bat in the barn, and held it out to my dad and said, "Look, Daddy, it's a cricket." Don't know what possessed me, don't know why I thought it was a cricket, but that's what I said and that's what I thought. And it took years off of my father's life, and I'm very sorry, Dad. He hates bats, and he especially hated his little girl holding a dead one. But I was okay. I think I was actually fortunately wearing gloves. I had like little like gardening gloves, which I was wearing to be like my dad and my granddad and my older brother, who were, you know, like wearing work gloves. And let's just say those gloves were disposed of. But not many of those things have happened since then. But yeah, there was the bat incident. So I do not have a perfect record. I was gonna go to the gym this afternoon, but I'm either gonna wait until tomorrow or later this afternoon, depending on how much time I have left, because it's nice today, even though it's cold, and we're supposed to have rain tomorrow, and I've been wanting to clean out the barn for a while now. We have just like a lot of trash in it that needs to go. So today will be a good day to do that. So this is a bunch of the junk that needed to be cleaned out. It was all piled up in the corner over there, and so these are all feed bags full of other feed bags. And like disposable gloves and paper towels and just a bunch of stuff that like builds up on the farm, especially when you're milking. And then just the feed bags are just, you know, you get a new bag of feed every couple of weeks and just toss the old one to the side. And so this has kind of gotten out of control, so I just bagged all that up, and it'll go to the dumpster later. But yeah, it was a lot. And there's more. There's more trash that needs to be gotten rid of too, but this is a very good start. And my toes are cold, so we're gonna go inside. Y'all be good, okay?